Here we go. Well, it takes a few seconds sometimes. Oh, it's setting up my meeting for YouTube. Wow, phenomenal. Let's see how it goes. Yeah, that looks good. And we're going to, there we go. Perfect. Wonderful. Right, so where am I? Great. Okay, so hello everybody.
Hi.
Hello, welcome to everybody. There's
Hello.
everyone. Okay, so we're going to what's in the chat? Shalom. Yeah, shalom to everyone. Lovely. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with our prayer. Okay. So here we are. Oh no, I have to share it first. Share. Here comes Lauren. That's nice. Yeah. Okay, so this is a prayer for those of you who are new, which was composed by the Ari. And when we learn, I mean, we really have to realize that we're not learning for ourselves, okay, to be, to get information. We're learning in order to give goodness to us, to ourselves, but to all the world as well. Okay, so we learn for the sake of giving, which means that as because all the souls are actually one soul, we all belong to the soul of Adam. And so when we act in a positive way, we help raise up all the souls together. So one of the reasons why we learn is to learn for the elevation of everybody. So that's a really important thing. And the purpose of the prayer is partly to sort of like let go of all the mundane stuff we've all just been busy dealing with, and to sort of like set the tone for our learning. The other one is also so that we have a proper focus to our learning. So I usually say the prayer in Hebrew, but since we've got a few new people today, I'll say it as well in English, all right? So somebody put something in the chat. Can I raise my volume a bit? Yes. Anybody else having difficulty hearing me? I'll put it up a bit, see what happens. That should be a bit better. Okay. All right, put it in the chat again if it's still no good. All right. If it's okay for everybody, we'll okay, good. Says thank you. That's all right. Okay, very good. ריבון עולמים ואדוני אדונים, אף רחמן וסליחות, מודים אנחנו לפניך, אדוני אלוהינו ולאבותינו, בקידה בשתחוויה שקרבתנו לתורתך ולעבודתך עבודת הקודש, ונתת לנו חלק בסודות תורתך הקדושה, מה אנו ומה חיינו, אשר עשית עמנו חסד גדול כזה. Master of the universe and Lord of lords, Father of mercy and forgiveness, we give thanks to you, O Lord our God and God of our fathers, in bowing the head and prostrating ourselves, that you brought us close to your Torah and to your service, the holiest of services, and you've given us a portion of the inner meanings of your holy Torah. What are we and what is our life, that you've dealt with us such a great loving kindness as this? Therefore we lay our supplication before you, that you forgive and pardon all our sins and iniquities, and do not let our iniquities separate us from you. And may it be your will, O Lord our God and God of our fathers, that you prepare our hearts to have reverence of you and love of you. And may your ears listen to these our words, and open our uncircumcised heart in the inner meanings of your Torah. And may this our learning give pleasure before the throne of your glory as a sweet-smelling fragrance. Bestow upon us the light of the source of our soul in all its aspects, and may the sparks of your holy servants, to whom you revealed your words into the world, shine forth. And may their merit and the merit of their fathers, the merit of their Torah, their wholeness and holiness stand by us, that we do not stumble in these words. And through their merit, enlighten our eyes in what we are learning. As the sweet singer of Israel said, open my eyes, and I will look on the wonders of your Torah. For the Lord gives wisdom from his mouth, knowledge and understanding. May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable before you, O Lord, my rock and my redeemer. And that was a prayer which was composed by the Ari. Okay, great. Now, for those people who are new, The way I work is we put the text up on the screen, okay? And I'll read it in Hebrew and translate it into English, and we'll discuss it in English. And if you've got questions, every so often I'll stop and say, has anybody got any questions? And then as far as I'm concerned, you can just call out. I don't always notice what's in the chat. All right, so I'm not quite sure what I'm sharing here, so maybe I better just do share again. As you'll notice, I'm not brilliant on Zoom. Okay, right. Chayei Sara. Yes. I think before we go to the actual piece of learning we're going to learn, I think I just want to just go to the, stop there, share again. I want to go to the Torah. What's that? Oh no, that's something that I don't know. Where's my, no, I don't want that. What is that? Oh no, here we are. That's it. Now we go to Zoom, share, there. Great. Okay, so here is the actual Torah. Okay, all right. And there's so much one could say about this piece. So the very beginning of this parasha starts off with the death of Sarah, all right? But it begins, of course, with her life. Vayu Chayei Sara 100 shana ו20 shana ו7 shanim, shnei Chayei Sara. And the life of Sarah was 100 years and 20 years and 7 years. And these were the years of the life of Sarah. V'tamot Sarah b'Kiryat Arba. And Sarah died in Kiryat Arba, he Hebron, which is Hebron, Beretz Canaan, in the land of Canaan. Ve'avo Avraham lispod l'Sara u'livkota. And Abraham came to mourn for Sarah and to weep for her. Vayakom Avram me'al panei meto. And Abraham arose from above before his dead. V'daber b'nei Chet lemor. And he spoke to the children of Chet, saying, Ger v'toshav anochi imachem. I am a stranger and a sojourner with you. Tenuli achuzat kevei machem. Give me a burial place amongst you. V'ekbara meiti melefanai. And I will bury my dead before me. V'anu b'nei Chet et Avraham, and the children of Chet answered Abraham, lemor, saying to him, Shema'eni Adoni, nesi Elohim ata b'tochenu. Listen, hear us, O my Lord, you are a mighty prince amongst us. B'mivcha kvareinu kvar et meitecha. In the best of our burial places, bury your dead. Ish mimenu et kvro lo yichle mimcha mikvor meitecha. None of us will withhold his burial place from burying your dead. Vayakom Avram v'ishtachu la'am ha'aretz livnei Chet. And Abraham arose and bowed to the people of the land, to the children of Chet. Okay, let's just stop there. Now, there's a couple of very odd things in this story which always struck me as a bit strange. Okay, why wasn't Abraham next to Sarah? I mean, why was it that Sarah dies in Kiryat Arba, which is Hebron? Where was Abraham? In Beersheba? I mean, why weren't they together? This was my very first question. I've always had this question in my mind ever since I was a kid. All right? And Abraham comes to mourn for Sarah and to weep for her. What does he mean? He has to come to mourn for her, to weep for her, to eulogize her. I mean, why did he have to come especially? I mean, why wasn't he by her side? And also, yeah, Yaela, yeah.
No, it was not that he was by the Akedat Yitzchak, Abram, and Akedat Yitzchak, and Sarah saw it and she passed away because she thought it happened.
That's right. But so yes, but still, but that was Avraham came from Beersheba then, and so why was she doing in Hebron? Why weren't they Why didn't he go back straight to her? I mean, the whole story that this was the thing that would bothered me when you're right. I mean, but this was the thing that bothered me when I was a kid. Okay, so I'm just pointing out that there seemed to be something odd in this story. And when we look at it from just from the aspect of the Zohar, it's actually a different story. And what we're going to look at today in the Zohar and also from the teachings of Rabbi Ashlag is that rather than looking at it as a historical thing, which was telling a story of Abraham and Sarah, okay, as people, it's actually telling us about the relationship between the soul and the body, okay, and what happens in the life cycle between the soul and the body, and not just when a person comes to die, but also on a more daily basis. And this is what we're actually going to be looking at today. All right. So, according to the Zohar, Abraham is the soul and Sarah is the body, but not the physical body. It's also the like the will to receive. And we're going to look at what this actually means um, together. Okay? All right. There's many, many beautiful explanations here. I mean, besides what we're going to be learning. So, Vayu Chayei Sara, and the life of Sarah was 100 years and 20 years and 7 years, the years of the life of Sarah. And these numbers, okay, are actually spiritual levels because the the numbers in Kabbalah, when we look at the numbers which are written in the Torah, the Kabbalah translates them into spiritual stages, spiritual levels. So 100 years, for example, represents the Sphira of Bina, and 20 years represents the Sphira of Zerampin, and 7 years is the Malchut, okay, because hundreds is Bina, tens is Zerampin, and units is the Malchut. So it's actually describing, a tremendous fulfillment of the body aspect, which is called Sara here. Okay, that she reached all completion of these spiritual levels. Amazing. Okay, now then, let's go to Rabbi Ashlag's actual texts, okay, and see what we can learn from this. Stop share. Now. Oh, now I do a new share, don't I? Right. Share. That's not. Here we go. Right. Now, it's quite a difficult article, so I kind of like pondered a bit about whether we should do it or not. But I thought, let's have a go together. You never know, all right? Parasha Chayei Sara. Vayakom Avram me'al pnei meto, v'yidaber el bnei chet lemor. And Abraham arose from the face of his dead, and he spoke to the children of Chet, saying, okay, so we read that bit. Muvar b'Baal HaTurim, Yud pa'amim niskar b'nei Chet b'parasha. לפי שהמברר מקחו של תלמיד חכם, כאילו קיים 10 הדיברות שיש בהם י' פעמים אות חטא. Okay? It's brought in the Baal HaTurim that the name, the children of Chet, is mentioned 10 times in the whole story of this buying the burial place for Sarah. Okay? Because whoever examines the mekach, I'm not quite sure how you translate that. It's usually translated as some sort of merchandise, okay, of a Talmid Chacham, of a scholar, as if he's fulfilled the 10 commandments, which have in them 10 times the letter Chet. Okay. or tough. I'm not sure. I should have taken the Ten Commandments and checked it out, then I would know. But anyhow, I didn't. We'll have to take that on trust for the moment. But what is this about? Okay. So in order to discover what it is about, the first thing I needed to do was to actually look and see what this is about from Rabbi Gottlieb. And I'll go back there in a minute. Let's do this bit first. יש להבין, מדוע המברר מכך לתלמיד חכם, כאילו קיים עשרת הדיברות? What is this about? Why is it somebody who verifies the merchandise of a Talmid Chacham as if he's fulfilled the Ten Commandments? And what proof do we get from this pasuk? From what is it all about at all? So the Holy Zohar, and we're going to look at it soon, says, מפרש שאברהם נקרא הנשמה, ושרה נקראת הגוף. So Abraham is designated as being the soul, and Sarah is designated as being the body. Now, when we talk about the body, we're not just talking about our physical body, we're talking about our will to receive. Okay? And this whole parasha is about the relationship between the soul and the body and why they need each other. Okay? The soul is in connection with God. Okay? Let's imagine we've got a soul and we have got a soul, and we imagine our souls are, before we're born, they're up in the higher worlds in connection with the Creator, as a branch is connected to its root. What is the advantage of the soul to come down into the body? Okay? What is the advantage of the body to be connected with the soul? And these are the questions that are really, really fundamental. When we look at this passage, these are the questions we really want to know. Okay? So why does Avraham come to cry over the body? Okay, and the answer is like this. The soul, before it comes into the body, can know God, but cannot express anything of God's attributes. In order to actually discover the attributes of God and discover them and put them into some sort of, and actually bring forth all the potential that the soul has within it, the soul has to come into the physical body, because the physical body has attributes that the soul cannot attain when it's in the spiritual worlds. The soul in the body, when the soul in the body gets to know opposites. Like, for example, when we're in this world, when the soul is in conjunction with the body, it's in the body in this world, sometimes it gets sick. Okay, we get sick. Okay, and then we discover that one of the names of God is Rofei Cholim, heals the sick. But we wouldn't know that if we were only a disembodied soul, because the soul in the higher worlds is only aware of God's goodness. Is only aware of God's goodness. Coming down into this very murky and difficult package that we call the human being, okay, it learns the opposite. It discovers suffering, it discovers ill health, it discovers pain, it discovers misery, it discovers sadness, it discovers all these difficult things, okay? And it's from the darkness of these discoveries that it actually can discover the attributes of God in a much clearer way. Instead of just being all light, okay, it can discover that God heals the sick. It discovers that God forgives us. For example, when we come into the body and we pass bar mitzvah, bat mitzvah age, we make mistakes, we make sins, we fall into the trap of our wills to receive for ourselves alone, into our egoistic tendencies, and we make a lot of mistakes. And what do we discover? That God forgives us. Okay? So we discover that how merciful God is. We discover his names, that he's merciful. When we think about all the different things that could possibly go wrong in a day, all right, and Baruch Hashem, most of them don't happen. You know, when even one little thing happens, we say, "Oh, I'm having a bad day," okay, which is, crazy when you think about it. Um, and then we realize how the goodness of God, because we're in this physical body, all right. So it's in the physical body we can know the absence of God. We can discover through our fallings down. We can discover the goodness of God. Okay. So there's a lot of things happen, but of knowledge that the soul gains by being in the body. Another thing, of course, that also happens by the soul being connected with the body like this is that it's able to express the goodness of God. And the other thing, of course, is, that the body itself changes because it's got the soul, okay? And the body, instead of being sunk in its will to receive for itself alone and getting more and more and more separated from the Creator, can be influenced by the soul, can be taught by the soul, can be changed by the soul. So instead of just receiving for itself alone, okay, it can actually come to give. All right. So, okay, so far so good. Everybody okay so far? All right. Okay, well, if you want, you call out or something. והנה הרצון לקבל הנקרא גוף, צריכים לברר לו מקח, היינו לתת לו מקום בארץ. Now, it's very difficult to understand the Hebrew here, to be honest. I mean, I've tried the translation is not so difficult, but to actually understand what he's trying to say is a little difficult. So the will to receive is what is called the body, okay? And the will to receive is clarified from the 320 sparks that fell into Bria, Yitzirah, and Asiyah, into the lower, into the worlds, okay, of uncleanness. And the lights which sustain those worlds also of holiness fell into these lower worlds. And what we need to do is we need to clarify these sparks and bring them up into holiness. All right. Now, I was listening to a shiur of Rabbi Gottlieb's, okay, to try to understand what this was about. And he gave a very good example. He said, supposing, for example, we've got a negative trait, like we tend to get very angry. All right, so let's say, somebody has a tendency to anger.
You're kind of quiet a little bit. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, no, you're right. Because I forgot it was hot, so I took off my jacket, my microphone. I took it off as well by accident. Sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for telling me. Okay, right. Okay, very good. Okay, so where was I? Right. So let's say we've got a negative tendency called anger. Okay, anger. We tend to get angry, and we begin to notice just what this anger causes us, what mess it makes of our relationships, how it ruins our relationship with ourselves, it ruins our relationship with God, how regretful we feel afterwards, and how we hurt other people, and how it's so unnecessary. Okay, and the more and more we begin to realize how this anger is bothering us, and where do we realize this from? Because of our soul. We receive the instruction, we receive the teaching from the soul and from the Torah, okay, the Torah teaches us, the soul teaches us that the anger is no good, that it's hurting us. And more we get more and more disgusted with ourselves that when we do this, and we want to stop it. Okay? So it's like we ourselves want to bury the anger. Okay? We want to let go of this anger. We want to consider it as dead to us. Okay? And we want to bury it. All right? We want to say, no, 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 I don't want that anymore. And when we do that, the soul and the body both get purified. The soul goes up another level. The body goes up another level. It gets clarified. It gets better. They're more in harmony together. Okay? So this idea of letting a negative trait die and then burying it actually gives a tremendous lift to us, to ourselves, to the soul and the body, okay, in the combination which we call ourselves. All right? So when we want to clarify these sparks which have fallen down, let's say the aspect of anger, all right, then when we clarify the body, which is our will to receive, we want it now to be able to be a vehicle that can really be in affinity of form with the soul. And the body is then called a Talmid Chacham. What does a Talmid Chacham mean? A student of a wise person, of a sage. As my father of blessed memory said, the Holy Blessed One is called a Chacham. He's the Chacham. He's the wise sage from which we can learn. Oh, there's somebody put something in the chat. What does that say? 1 second. Oh, yeah, thanks. Oh, yeah. All right. So therefore, if a body who is the will to receive lets go of its anger, wants to bury that anger, say, no more, I really don't want that anymore, he's learning from the attribute of the Chacham. He's learning from the Creator. He's learning how to be a giver. So the guf, then the body, is now called a Talmid Chacham. He's learning from the Chacham. He's learning from God. V'zeh i'efshar sheyeh, and this is not possible to actually come about ad shemakayimim et aseret hadibot, unless we fulfill the 10 Commandments. What does he mean by here? It's a shorthand for saying unless we fulfill the mitzvot of the Torah, because inside the 10 Commandments are all the mitzvot. Okay? How do we know this? Because if you count up all the letters on the 10 Commandments, you get 620 letters. Okay? And how many mitzvot do we have? We have 613, which are in the Torah, and we have 7 extra, which are given by the rabbis. Okay? I know that it looks like the rabbis have given us thousands, but it's actually not the case. The rabbis have only taught us how to keep the 613, and the extra 7 are things. I think there's one is Hanukkah, and one is Eruv. I don't remember them all, but there's actually only 7. I think one is Megillah, the Megillah on Purim. There's only 7 extra ones from the rabbis, and that gives you the number of 620. So when it says here that we cannot clarify our body, cannot clarify the will to receive, instead of being stuck with all these broken wills to receive from this breaking of the vessels, instead of just receiving for ourselves alone and getting more and more and more separated from God, when we fulfill the 10 Commandments, we fulfilling the Torah, okay, we're learning how to be a giver. And then the body itself becomes a Talmid Chacham. All right? As the sages said, Barati Yetzara, Barati Torah Tavlin. I created the evil inclination. I created the Torah as its healing. So it's through the Torah we're able to deal with and overcome our inbuilt egoism, our inbuilt selfishness, our inbuilt will to receive for ourselves alone. That's very interesting, isn't it? Okay. וזה פירוש, and this is the explanation, שמברר מקרות תלמיד חכם, כאילו קיים עשרת הדיברות. That one who clarifies this work of the Talmid Chacham is as if he's fulfilled all 10 commandments. Because what is he doing? Okay, he's taking his will to receive and he's burying it. Okay? He's saying, I'm not going to use my will to receive for myself alone anymore. I'm not going to use my aspect of anger anymore. I'm going to bury it. I'm going to make it as if it's the dust, as if it doesn't, I just don't want to use that anymore. Because when something is buried, all right, then it can have tchiyat hametim. Then we can have the revival of the dead. Okay, what's the revival of the dead? We can bring back the energy which was stored up in our anger and use it for, let's say, social justice. You know, it can have a transformation in a positive direction. Okay, that's what Tchiyat HaMetim actually refers to. Tchiyat HaMetim is not graves opening up or anything like that. Tchiyat HaMetim is to bring back into life aspects of ourselves which we had to bury and let rot for a while. Okay, and the word kever, grave, is the same word as rot, which is rakuv. Okay, so we have to let the negative attributes we were using rot for a while in the grave, and then when it's time, they can be resurrected by God, and we bring back that energies into the reality of our lives, but this time in a transformed way, which is for the sake of giving and not for the sake of receiving. All right? So the issue of the grave is makom menuchat haguf. It's where the will to receive is simply not being used. So, of course, we've got wills to receive, which we are using, but we're working on one at a time, okay? Somebody's put something in the chat. Okay. Thanks, Tila, for giving me a positive thumbs up. That helps as we go along. All right. Okay. Now, he goes on to say the kever, the grave, all right, is where we let our will to receive for ourselves alone go. Now, this also, you know, it's mirrored in the teachings of the Rambam. He says if a person wants to let go of a negative trait, so what does he have to do? He has to absolutely leave it alone and go completely in the opposite direction for a while. And only when he's completely let go of it completely can he then bring it back and use it in the middle line, in the moderate way. Okay? So this whole story now that we're looking at of Abraham burying Sarah is not a story at all about historical people. Well, it might be as well, but what it's telling us, and that's what's important for us today, is how to handle our own relationship with our body and soul. Okay? How both need to give to each other, how both need to learn from each other. Because when the body becomes more in affinity of form with the soul, it can become its house. It can become its vessel with which it can express itself. Okay? And eventually, the body becomes even higher than the soul. As we say, Eishit Chayil Ateret Ba'ala. Okay? The woman of valor is a crown for her husband. And of course, Sara really was that. Okay? She was the embodiment of the Eishit Chayil. So he says, look, okay, so the keva is where the body is going to rest. That's our will to receive is going to rest until we bring it up into life again. Lachen yesh kivrei akum v'yesh bechinat marat hamachpelah. There are graves which belong to the will to receive itself alone, and there is the cave of Machpelah. Vikshu b'Zohar Kadosh, and they asked a question in the Zohar Kadosh, and they said sometimes it's written Marat HaMachpelah, and sometimes it's written Sedeh HaMachpelah. And Mefaresh Sham Basulam, Shinyan Kfilut Ushituf Midat HaRachamim Bedin. There are many stories, not just one or two, but there are many stories of when a tzaddik who completely did this work in his lifetime and transformed his will to receive only for the sake of giving, that if it happened that they had to open his grave at some later date, they would find the body completely whole. Why? Because the tikkun which the body undergoes when it dies and is buried, they did it in their lifetimes, and therefore they don't need to do it after they die. What's this say in the chat here? Tatiana says this is fascinating, and she wonders if Avram and Sarah are really buried there. Well, if you were talking to Rabbi Gottlieb, he would say, as far as he's concerned, it doesn't matter. He's not interested in the history, and he's only interested in the inner aspect. The Baal Sulam himself took a middle view. He said that historical events as described actually did happen, but they happened with the intention and understanding which is brought in the Zohar. Okay? So that the Avraham came to Sara, came to bury Sara, and because of this knowledge and understanding of the real relationship that there was between body and soul. So this aspect of actually doing it in practice was only something that he himself did with himself all the time, which is taking his wills to receive, putting them in the ones which were bothering him, putting the ones which were disturbing him from his service with God, allowing them to let go, allowing them to rot away, and then bringing them back until he became who he was, a tzaddik. So I suppose that one could say that he did all that work before he left Ur Kasdim, okay? Before God said to him, Lech Lecha, because by the time God said to him, Lech Lecha, he was already, advanced tzaddik. But then the point is not really what happened to the historical Avraham and Sarah. The point is really our relationship with our body and our soul today, okay? And that's what we're really looking at. So we want to make sure that that goes in a good direction, okay? All right. So why is the Ma'arat HaMachpelah and the Sadeh Machpelah, the cave of Machpelah and the field of Machpelah? And it writes in the Zohar that it's referring to the participation of the attribute of mercy with judgment, okay? And there were 4 different stages that were 4 different ways 4 different attributes you can look at that. Okay. What is its real meaning? Okay. It means that according to strict judgment, then our will to receive for ourselves alone is kind of like lost. All right. It's like there's not much you can do about it. It's just in the framework of evil and that's it. But that's not the case, because the aspect of the joining of the compassion with judgment is also the aspect that the soul can help the body can help the soul. All right. So we have the Malchut is joined with Bina, okay, and then you can have Bina of Bina. You can have Bina of Malchut, and you have Malchut of Malchut. In other words, the body, that is the will to receive for itself alone, the will to receive needs to accept the tikkun of the joining of compassion with judgment. Okay? So that the midat hadin is connected with midat harachamim. And in that respect, then that way, the body now becomes, the will to receive becomes a proper vessel to receive the light of the soul. Okay. And when the tikkun of the soul actually takes place, then Abraham, who is the tikkun of the body, the tikkun of the will to receive takes place, then the aspect of the soul is able to sit in the body, which is called Tchiyat HaMetim. Okay? Right. So I haven't managed to translate all of that. There's some other bits there that I really don't understand. So, but what I did understand, hopefully we've explained. So let's have a look at it again. So what we've said is that each one of us have wills to receive for ourselves, some of which we really want to let go of. Okay. So we decide that it's time for that will to receive for itself alone to die. All right. So we let it die. And then we need to bury it, allow it to rot away, okay? And we're going to bury it in the cave of Machpelah, that is to say, where it can learn the fact that there is compassion, all right? And there's the joining together of compassion with judgment. And when it's learned that, okay, that when it comes back to life, it's now not just, using its will to receive, but it's learnt how to be in the aspect of giving. It's joined with compassion. And once it accepts that, it can come back to life again. And then the soul can express itself through our physical reality in a much, much clearer and better way. So the soul itself gets an elevation. All right. Now, great. That was pretty tricky. Now then, let's go to, how are we doing for time? Yeah, that's perfect timing. What I want to do here is I want to read a bit of a letter. Here we go, which Rabbi Ashlag wrote. Oh, Kath has asked a question just before we go there. What was special about the cave of Machpelah? Very, very good question. Okay, so before we go there, before we go to the letter, let's just think about the cave of Machpelah. So the inner meaning is the joining of compassion with judgment. All right. So the will to receive for itself alone is only on the side of judgment, and joining compassion with it means it learns how to give. That's what it means. So the cave of Machpelah is burying in the cave of Machpelah means burying in getting that it has to learn to let go of its will to receive for itself alone and learn the aspect of giving only. All right. So what actually happens, we've got a will to receive oneself alone. Okay. Like being angry. We put it in the dust. Okay. It's buried. In the meantime, we're using the energy which is now buried there to only focus on giving, all right, which is the aspect of giving unconditionally. Yeah? So we're just going to focus on giving only. Then when it comes back, we can take that aspect of judgment, which is now brought back into reality, and connect it only with the giving, and that would be the unification of judgment and mercy together, because the giving is the compassion, and the judgment is the will to receive, and we've learned how to join them together. Okay, so that's the inner meaning of the cave of Machpelah. All right, double. But there's lots of tradition also about the cave of Machpelah, and that is that this is the where Adam and Eve are buried, and there is a entrance to the Garden of Eden there. This is all Midrash, okay? And then the Midrash goes that when the three angels came to Abraham, and it says he runs to the herd, okay, to get, a nice calf or something for them to eat, okay, and this calf runs away, and it runs all the way to the cave of Machpelah, all right, and Abraham runs after it, and he comes into the entrance of this cave, and he suddenly realizes this incredible awareness that there is the aspect of the Garden of Eden there. So he remembers this, and that's why when he wants to bury Sarah, he wants to this particular cave, because he remembers the fragrance of the Garden of Eden that was emanating from the cave. Now, it says in the Zohar that Ephron, the guy who owned the cave, had no idea at all that there was anything special about the cave. All right, but that was why Avraham waited. He didn't just sort of rush straight away and buy the cave, because Ephron might not have agreed to sell it, because if he'd realized that Avraham really wanted the cave, then he would have said, why does he want it? But when he's got a real reason, like I need a cave to bury my wife, then he was able to. He didn't realize and Abraham was sure to pay for it. It's very important that he paid for it. Now, there's all sorts of inner meanings to all of this. I mean, I've told you the bare bones of the Midrash, but I'm certain it's all got lots and lots and lots of inner meanings. Okay. All right, but let's go back to this story, this letter of the soul and the body. And I will explain to you the inner meaning of the middle line, which is the inner meaning of the Torah, the Holy Blessed One, and Israel are one. Because there is a purpose for the soul to come into the body. That she should merit, whilst she is clothed in the body, to return to her root and to be one with him, just as she was before she came into the body. Kamosha Katuv, as it's written, to love God and to cling to him and to walk in all his ways. And the main thing is to be one with him. So we see at the end of the sentence that it is to be one with God. Whilst we are in the body, we need to become one with God, just as we were, okay, just as the soul was before she came into the body. For this we need much preparation, which is to walk in all his ways. Umi yodeh darkei Hashem yitbarach. And who can know the ways of God? אמנם זה סוד אורייתא שיש בה תרי"ג אורחים שהולך עליהם סוף שהולך עליהם. However, this is the inner meaning of the Torah, which has 613 paths, which when a person walks these paths, סופו שיזדכך כל כך, עד שגופו לא יהיה מחיצה של ברזל בינו לקונו. That he will, in the end, he will reach the point where his body, that is his will to receive, will no longer be a barrier, an iron barrier between himself and the Creator. Okay? As it's written, one moment. V'hasiroti et lev ha'even mikirubam. And I will remove the heart of stone from your flesh and give you, from within you, and give you a heart of flesh. That's from Yechezkel, okay? In other words, that God, through our work that we do with Torah and mitzvot, as we're doing it, God himself slowly chips away at the heart of stone, okay? The heart of stone is the parts of reality that we have no possibility whatsoever of actually coming into holiness. I was talking to Chavruta today, and the negative commandments, okay, the don't do's, really constitutes all that area of reality which is the heart of stone. It's the area of reality, all the don't do's are called asur, are called forbidden, because we cannot bring them into holiness. Okay, that's why we're commanded not to do them, because there is no way one can take something which belongs in those area and bring it into holiness. Okay, we might, if we, for example, stealing, for example, okay, if we stole something, you can't make that right. The only thing you can do is you can give it back, you can do tshuva, you can make reparations, whatever, but you can't make the actual action holy. Okay, do you see what I'm saying? You can certainly do tshuva on it, and you can certainly do tikkun on it for certain. All right, but you can't make the actual action holy. All right, whereas there's parts of reality like the mitzvot, the positive mitzvot, where we have a positive mitzvah, for example, of keeping Shabbos, where the actual action itself is holy. All right, and then we have this whole gray area in between, okay, which is neither a negative action nor is it a particular mitzvah. Okay, and this is the area of free choice. Like we've really got a free choice. Like it's neither negative, it's not forbidden, but it's, not necessarily positive either. It's on our choice. It's what we want to make it. And this is, I think in this generation, we have a huge range there. Okay, with all the media and the information and all the WhatsApp groups and all the everything, we can be exposed to. And we have endless choice there of how to bring our wills to receive into holiness. Okay, we have endless choice, endless possibilities there. So without going into the don't do's, okay, those are the areas of reality which we really are forbidden to go because we can't bring them into holiness. Okay, then you've got all the positive mitzvot, which are the ways of God and teaching us how to be giving. Okay, and you've got this whole area in between where we've got a lot of free choice to bring ourselves closer and closer into relationship, that the soul and the body can enhance each other. Okay. I'll just do one more paragraph and then we'll probably have to stop. But it's a beautiful letter. We find that we have three aspects. One, Israel, which is the aspect of the soul, where a person strives to return to his roots, like he wants to be again in connection with the Creator, like he was before he came into this world. And the second is the Holy Blessed One, who is the root to which he belongs. And the third aspect is the 613 pathways of the Torah, with which a person can purify his will to receive and connect it with his soul. And that's the inner meaning of the tavlin, of the healing spice. And that the Torah, as it's written, I created the evil inclination, I created the Torah as its healing spice. But in fact, all of these three different elements are one, okay? And we really do need eventually to see that they are all one aspect, okay? And we only see them as different aspects because we're not there yet. And that's what he's saying. But the way through the Torah gives us the way to connect body and soul. Okay. I think we did very well. Any questions? It was pretty tricky, this one today. It wasn't an easy one at all.
I have something that I want to ask about,
Sure.
but it's really not formed well yet into a question, but I think a lot in analogies.
Yeah.
And I feel like the learning that we do is like learning the rules, learning the ins and outs of how to play the game of whatever we're doing here in life,
Okay.
in being alive. But I still want to know what's behind the game. So,
Right.
like when we have things that happen that are very challenging for us, we also have Hashem to pave the way and resolve the difficulties. And the analogy that keeps popping in my mind is this horrible disorder called Munchausen by proxy, where women actually do things to make their children ill. Not ill enough to die, but ill to be hospitalized or to have to go to the doctor, and they do tests and all these things. And then they find out that the mother caused the child to be ill herself so that she could be viewed as the one who brought attention to the disease so that the child could be healed. It's
Yeah.
a disorder of the mother, not of the child.
Right.
And I keep thinking, like, why does Hashem put us through all of this?
Okay, I get you.
Why are we going through all of this? What is it all for?
Okay. I got your question. All right, very good. Very good question. It's a very deep question. Okay, so the answer to that question is really found right at the very, very beginning of the study of the 10 Sfirot, okay, with the Holy Ari. And what he tells us is like this, that in the Ein Sof Baruch Hu, God's only desire, first of all, God's only desire, one desire, is to give goodness to the created beings. And that you actually have to keep in your mind as an absolute, stick it in your fridge or do whatever you want with it, but you absolutely have to have it as a total reality that the great sages can actually see and perceive within themselves, that the one desire of God is to give goodness to all created beings. Okay? And that desire never changes. And this is called in the Zohar and in the Talmud Esesfirot that the light is at perfect rest. What does it mean? It never changes its desire. There's only the desire to give goodness. And in the Ein Sof, and the first manifestation of this desire is called the Ein Sof, where the light is all giving, and therefore creates a vessel to receive that light. And that's called the will to receive, which is called the Malchut of the Ein Sof. And in the Ein Sof, there is no problem. The light is giving, the vessel is receiving, and they're in perfect unity in the meaning of who Hu ushmo echad. He and his name are one. And then the vessel, that's the Malchut, the created being, okay, decides a decision, okay, that it wants to become an active participant with God rather than a passive receiver. It wants to be in affinity of form with the Creator, because when it's receiving and the light is giving, there's a potential discrepancy there. Even though it's not felt in the Ein Sof, there's a potential discrepancy. And it says, okay, I want to learn how to become an active participant with God rather than a passive receiver. And that starts off the whole journey. That it begins from the Tzimtzum and comes down through the world step by step by step until we come to the difficulties of this world, okay? And the reason why we come into the difficulties of this world is because it's in this very dark and difficult package of the light of the soul and the body and the suffering and the anger and all the rest of it that we go through. All of that is because it's in this reality that the soul can gain tremendous knowledge of the attributes of God that it cannot gain any other way. And this is because of the preeminence of the light which shines from the darkness. If you're just surrounded by light, in light, all light, everything light, you can't see anything. Okay, you can only see when there is the absence. And that's why the soul actually comes down into the body. And the choice is actually the choice of the soul, not the choice of the Creator. As far as the Creator is concerned, we could have stayed in the Ein Sof and been there hunky-dory and everything would have been just fine. It's from our perspective. It's the choice of the soul to come down into this world. Okay? All right.
Wow.
Okay,
You
thank
did
you.
that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wow. I have a very selfish dream, like Martin Luther King said. I have a dream that you would come home to Tzfat and we would
I'm
stay
coming. I'm sure I'm coming
together.
soon.
Oi, amen, amen.
Oh,
Thank you
I
so
know. I miss
much.
you all very much.
We
But I
must.
mean, yeah, I can't come until they stop all the booming noises.
I know.
It's really not for me. I'm sorry. I
I
mean, I went up there, when was it, a while ago, and I was half an hour in my house. But the trouble is that in my home, I can't get to the mamad in 30 seconds. I just can't. Even if I'm in the kitchen, I can't get to the mamad in 30 seconds. It's not possible. It goes
Stay
round
by
corridors and
us.
corners
We have
and I don't
Mamad
know.
in the bedroom.
Huh?
I'm kidding.
Yeah, I
Thank
can't.
you
And
so much.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, I'll be there
Thank
soon. Don't, yeah, I know. So
Okay.
here, Silas asked a question. Yedida, when you said Israel Ein Sof Baruch Hu and the mitzvot and the Torah, is that referring to Bina Zerampin and Malchut that you mentioned at the beginning? Ein Sof. No, I'm not. It isn't. I'm not certain. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think that they're just different expressions of the same essence. Okay, Israel is the expression of the soul. But the Ein Sof Baruch Hu is the Hakadosh Baruch Hu, and no, Israel Hakadosh Baruch Hu. That's what's muddling me up. It's not. It's not that. It's Israel Hakadosh Baruch Hu and the Torah. This is it. I'm going to write it for you. Israel Hakadosh Baruch Hu and the Torah are all at the same level, all expressions of the same essence. Okay, just different garments. Okay, there you go. All right. Okay, very good. Anybody else got any questions? Nope. Yes.
Said a million, but I don't know where to start.
What, love?
It was quite intense, and
Very.
Yeah, so I need
Yeah.
to think and probably watch
I actually found it quite a difficult class also, because it's not a piece
Yeah.
of Torah that I found particularly easy to understand. But we gave it a go, and Bezrat Hashem, next year when we come to Chayei Sara, we'll do better.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, everybody.
Thank you so much. That was
All
very
right,
Thank you.
interesting.
Shabbat
Thank you.
All right,
Shalom.
Shabbat
Shalom,
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 everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat
Shabbat
Shalom. Have a
shalom.
nice
Class
Shabbat.
next week. We have class next Thursday.
Yeah. We're
Yes?
keeping going. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm in the US where they celebrate Thanksgiving, so that's why
Oh no, we don't celebrate Thanksgiving here.
I
We're
know we
Thanksgiving.
don't
We're
celebrate.
Thanksgiving
believe
all
me.
the time. We're
That's
Thanksgiving every
correct.
day. So
All
we're
the
okay.
time.
All right.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye then. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, love. Bye.